What's up, core reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Chris Lopez and Kail Lowry are fighting again, obviously over the two sons that they share together, named Lux and Creed. As you guys are aware, we just wrapped up the Christmas holidays, and tradition for Kail is that the various baby daddies take their children over the Christmas break, and she is typically child free, except this time she decided to add another baby daddy to her squad. So this year she did end up spending Christmas with her youngest three children. And so those youngest three children are Rio, they are Verse, and they are Valley, leaving the other children. So for example, hang on, let me pull up some photos so I can remember them all. So that left Isaac to spend the holidays with Joe and V, Lincoln to spend the holidays with Javi and his long-suffering on and off again fiance Lauren, Lex and Creed with Chris, right? And so Chris is saying that Kail is so bitter about the breakdown of their relationship or situationship that she went ahead, took the Christmas gifts that he had bought for his children and threw them out. I gotta be honest with you guys, though, I don't understand why she had access to these gifts because, as far as I'm aware, whenever parents are separated and holidays or whatever is happening, birthdays, etc., the parent who bought the children the toys while the kids were with them, they typically keep those toys at their house so that the kids play with them when they're at that place, right? So I just don't get what these kids were doing with these Christmas gifts in the presence of Kail if things had already been contentious. This is not the first time that the two of them get into a very heated argument. So you would think that they had this kind of down pact between the two of them, but I digress. Now let's get into the message that Chris Lopez, that's James Kennedy, hang on. Let's get into the message that Chris Lopez had posted online talking about the drama that was going down behind the scenes with Kail and how police were called to handle the drop off. He said, and I quote, "Never be so miserable that after not seeing or speaking to your children in 17 days, the first thing you do is try to throw away their Christmas presents in front of a police officer and kids. Never be so miserable that your hate for another parent outweighs your love for your children. Never be so miserable and ugly inside and out that you would rather make your kids suffer because you're a vile, sad excuse of a human being. Never be so miserable that your 7-year-old is starting to," that was my caps lock, "that your 7-year-old is starting to recognize your behavior to the point a 7-year-old told a police officer to his face, 'I want to be with my dad.'" I said it once, I'll say it again. I always say it when it comes to these situations. People need to stop with this baby mama, baby daddy culture. There was no reason for two people who were never even in a real relationship to have not even just one, but two kids together. That truly, what the heck were these two? What the heck were they thinking in the first place? How did they think that this would ultimately wind up playing out? I don't think anybody is surprised that they are in the situation that they are currently in. Okay. But anyway, going back to what it is that Chris Lopez says about the police being there, about Kail taking away the kids' gifts for Christmas, I get the vibe that I guess as of all of the rants that he's been going on, they've decided that they are into way too hostile or high conflict of a co-parenting situation to safely hand off these children without the presence of a police officer. We also know that Kail has accused Chris of choking her, and Kail has also been charged with offensive touching in the past before for allegedly putting her paws on Chris Lopez. So as it stands, both of these people are allegedly volatile people. Both of these people are allegedly violent people. So I will say that the one good thing in this rant that Chris Lopez has put out there is the news that they have to be supervised like little bandits by police officers because they do not know how to behave in front of their children. And I'm sorry, but I find that to be embarrassing and I find that to be shameful, but I digress. Now let's get, again, when it comes to the toys and stuff for Christmas, I do believe that, Chris, if you got these toys for the kids, you probably should, knowing that Kail, if she behaves this way on the regular, then you know her better than anyone. You're the adult in the situation. You should make sure that the toys and stuff stay in the house and do not, leave your sight. If you think she will slash the dolls or the car's tires or something like that, and then say that the kids can no longer play with them just because she hates you and she wants to take it out on the kids. I do have to ask you guys, do you believe Chris's allegations? Do you think that things have really gotten that ugly between him and Kail that she would take things out on the children? Or do you think that something happened, but that this could be a potential over exaggeration? I've got to be honest with you guys here when I say that I do believe, Chris, that police were called to the scene, that they are not co-parenting effectively. Not called to the scene, but like they have to do exchanges in front of a police house or something like that. I do also believe that something happened with the kids' toys, but I don't know that I see Kail full-blown taking the kids' toy in front of the cops and just like that in a very like gruff manner. Well, you know what, actually, maybe I do, because remember, she got charged with offensive touching for allegedly putting the paws on this man during an exchange with the children, meaning that the children were allegedly present for this alleged incident. So maybe she is capable of doing this. Damn. In which case, damn. It's just so crazy to me that my girl has all of these podcasts where she talks about co-parenting, right? And gives people advice on co-parenting and whatnot. As if she's some sort of a saint who is doing a great job. She does admit to being imperfect as a co-parenting and as a parent in general. But it's crazy that she would be giving people advice. Meanwhile, she's out here catching criminal charges and acting a plumb fool in front of her children, allegedly, if Chris Lopez is to be believed anyway. But here's what I'm going to say. If Chris Lopez is telling the truth, I know someone who is going to start throwing out some subliminals to confirm what it is that he's saying. And that is none other than Nanny Natalie. Natalie lived with Kail and the children for several years and acted as the nanny for Lux and Creed. And then she ultimately was thrown out of the McMansion when Kail was pregnant with Rio. Rumor has it she was spilling the tea to the Instagram blogs. Kail caught her and cut ties with her. After their fallout, the nanny did start talking. She started claiming that Kail is not as she seems. She started claiming that Kail tries to make herself appear as this like super mom on social media, but that she is quote crap mom in real life. And it feels really harsh to say that, but listen, this is not coming from me. This is coming from the nanny, right? So I don't know. Listen, this was the exact message that she had posted earlier. Hang on, let me zoom it in. My eyes are bad. Shout out to Team Mom Chatter, by the way, for this. I remember doing a video on this back in the day, and the image just so happens to still be in my folder. So this was a meme that Nanny Natalie posted, and it said, "You're a great mom on Facebook. Too bad you're a horrible one in real life." And so when Natalie reposted it on her Instagram stories, she said, "Imagine that, quote, fakery bakery moms." And fakery bakery is obviously a nod to the Coffee Convos podcast that Kail hosts with Lindsay Chrisley, where in the intro, they talk about there being a fakery bakery afoot. So she wanted to make it very clear that she was talking about Kail. And she potentially could have been talking about Lindsay as well, because it's interesting that she brings up Fakery Bakery, not Baby Mama's No Drama, which was Kail's most popular podcast, and not Barely Famous, which was Kail's solo podcast. Either way, this situation is very disappointing. It's very sad, and it's very toxic for the children. But who could be surprised that this non-relationship that produced two children would end up, not even just non-relationship, but this very, very toxic non-relationship jump off, side chick situation, harem situation. Who can be surprised, right, that it wound up in mess that is only going to traumatize the children involved. Whew, you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Protect your wombs, ladies. But don't get knocked up by just any old man, especially not a man who never even claimed you in the first place. And men, stop being trash. Wrap it up. Stop, knocking up all these random women as well. Both sides need to do better moving forward. This just ain't it. This ain't the move. It really isn't. Anyway, good luck to the two of them. Well, actually, screw them. Good luck to the kids in this situation. By the way, Chris Lopez released a book. I think it's called I Love You, Dad. And he is taking pre-orders. Are any of you guys reading that book? Did you order it for your children? It's kind of interesting that he's writing a book about children potentially parenting, and look at his parenting situation right now. Oof, but I digress. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.